Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the transatlantic number Dh Ssbb168Sqnrp545 Us32D ball bearing full mortise non-rising pin, should be called non-removable pin, heavyweight hinge, satin stainless steel. Let's go over all of that. The SS is going to mean stainless steel. This hinge is a stainless base material, as well as having a satin brushed finish. Those fingerprints that you see on there are just literally my smudges. The 168, or pardon me, the BB means that this is a ball bearing hinge. On a heavyweight hinge like this, there are 4 bearing packets. The 168 also infers the fact that it's heavyweight as well, meaning that the leaf thickness is 190 thousandths thick. Let's take a look. I'm going to go with 190 thousandths. See what the caliper says. 0.178 is what the caliper says. It's supposed to be technically 190 thousandths. The caliper says it's a little bit shy on that. So take a 32nd of an inch, divide that 3 times, and it's still smaller than that in terms of the difference. Not that it matters. SQ, that's going to mean square corner. Square corner. NRP, that means non-removable pin. You've got a set screw that's here. From the exterior side of the door, you can't see it really or get to it. Okay. The purpose of that is when the pin is seated down and the set screw has been tightened after that, it makes it, or it renders it all but impossible to drive that pin out. I've tried. It's not the way to get a door open, that's for sure. You're going to use a security pin or an NRP version for exterior doors that swing out. Now, the description the factory uses is non-rising pin. I would generally think of that as a pin that will not simply rise with time and use. You open a door enough, sooner or later that pin's going to creep up a little bit. Okay, the weight of the door is coming down. The action of the hinge forces that pin to come up. A non-rising pin will generally have like a knurled feature to the stem of the hinge pin. This is non-removable. Now you can make this removable if you simply just back that set screw out. Then you'll be able to drive that pin out. But when the set screw is set, it becomes a security pin type hinge. Okay, now 545 is in the part number. That means that this hinge is 5 inch by 4.5 inch. That means, very importantly, that the height is 5 inch, and the height is the first dimension on hinges like this. That's very important to know when you have a rectangular hinge, whether it be 4 by 6 or 5 by 4.5. If you've got a 5 by 5 or a 4.5 4.5, I suppose you don't really need to know that the height is the first dimension. But if you're ordering doors and frames and you are thinking that the second dimension of the hinge is like the second dimension on a door, that would be incorrect. The first dimension is opposite of how doors are sized. It's the height. It's just important to know that. This is a 5 inch tall hinge that is 4.5 inch wide. You would find great success using this on 1 3/4 thick doors, and the reason that you want a 5 inch hinge is because a 5 inch hinge is substantially more capable of holding and handling the door weight because of that additional height. Not only that, but it's a heavyweight hinge where the leaf thickness is greater than a standard hinge, and when it goes to heavyweight again, you get 4 bearing packets rather than 2 that would be typical on a standard weight hinge, which in a 5 inch tall would be about 145 thousandths, and this should be 190 thousandths, so it's about 45 thousandths greater, all things being equal. Us32D, that again just tells us steel base material with a satin brushed finish. There's a tremendous amount of information down below this video that will allow us to review most of the data that we've already covered. And as I'm scanning that, I'm not seeing anything new except to state that it is a template pattern, meaning that the location of the screw holes are considered template, meaning standard for a 5 inch tall hinge. And speaking of those screw holes, All machine screws and all wood screws are included. 18/8 type stainless, non-magnetic stainless steel with stainless fasteners as well. All machine, well, they say all machine and half wood, but you've got enough screws here to do both leaves as wood. There's a link below this video as well to a document called instructions, and it doesn't give you really much help, except that it is a link to the old version of the transatlantic catalog that would allow you to view what the transatlantic hinge line looked like in the 1980s, the 1990s, the 2000s, before the catalog changed, ownership changed, the original owner retired, things of that nature. It's there just for, I suppose, for me, for sentimental reasons. Where are you going to use this? You're going to use this on an 1 3/4 door that is exceptionally heavy, exceptionally tall, exceptionally wide, exceptionally high volume use. It's hard to make an argument against a 5 by 4.5 inch hinge for a common hollow metal door, except to say that your stock metal doors and frames from your standard distributors are not going to be in stock items. It'll be 4.5, 4.5. The order that I'm doing for this client ordered a pair of 4090 doors. Okay, so it would go to say that when you're dealing with a door that's going to be 250 pounds, I'm just guessing, there is no argument to make that you're going to use a standard weight 4.5 inch hinge. There'll be 4 of these hinges on each of those door leaves, and is the proper height, width, and thickness to go in line with a hinge of that size, given the moderate volume of use. Transatlantic is going to be able to help you with hinges that are not only less common like this, but the 4.5 material as well, smaller material occasionally. There's a link below this video, in bringing this video to conclusion, there's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the transatlantic products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. Now, I'm partial to Transatlantic, and it's because of several decades of successful purchasing from that company where we've come to rely on the quality of the product, the value of what you're getting, the predictability, the reliability. If you are new to Transatlantic, that I would look at their hinges, their lock sets, their exit devices, and their door closers. If you're in Chicago, you've probably heard them. We would know them as TACO, T-A-C-O, Transatlantic Company. Clients would call up and say, I need a new TACO door closer, Transatlantic. You're going to be able to supply, if you're a subcontractor where your job is to install doors and frames, supply those doors and frames with Transatlantic goods, be putting into the job site to your client a good quality, reliable product, being able to be profitable on reselling the material. Your client will not have sticker shock, and they will, I would expect, appreciate the fact that you've brought the project in a slightly less expensively, noticeably less expensively than otherwise. I would not hesitate at all to recommend Transatlantic product for a lot of instances where there are no specifications. Strip mall, back doors, Transatlantic, hinges, door closers, exit devices, all day long. If you have any questions on the Transatlantic Dh Ssbb168Sqnrp545 Us32D 5 by 4.5 inch stainless steel hinge, or any other Transatlantic product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.